Good evening, class. We are in section 1.2, solving multi-step equations. We're going to start with our solve it problem on page 12 in your textbook. So please write this down in the blank at the top of the page. You'll notice that we have 3 times, in parentheses, 23 minus 2b plus 3b equals 48. Now remember, the purpose of every equation is to find the value of the variable, solve for b. Now in this problem, you should notice that you have to combine your b's. We have two b's here. We have a negative 2b and a positive 3b. But I can't combine them together. Why not? Because this one is stuck in parentheses. So the first thing I have to do is to get rid of those parentheses. And how do you do that? You do that by using distributive property. So if I distribute the 3, that would give me 69 minus 6b plus 3b equals 48. Now you're going to combine like terms. So if we combine like terms, now remember that's a negative 6b and a positive 3b, that's going to give me what? Negative 3b plus 69 equals 48. Now we just solve this equation. Subtract 69 on both sides. That's going to give you negative 3b equals negative 21. I now divide both sides by negative 3. And negative 21 divided by negative 3 gives you an answer of positive 7. Now if you wanted to, you could take this 7 and plug it back in up here for both b's, and it should give you the correct answer of 48 equals 48. And it will work, so my answer is b equals 7. So now look at the gray area in the middle of the page. It says, your essential understanding is to solve multi-step equations, you are going to form a series of simpler equations that are equivalent. To do this, use the properties of equality, inverse operations, and properties of real numbers. You use these properties until you isolate the variable, which means you're getting the variable by itself. So I want you to do A by yourself. Do A underneath problem 1, they got it? Do that one by yourself. If you did A by yourself, you would combine like terms, 11m minus 6m, that gives you 5m, minus 8 equals 22. You add 8 to both sides, that gives you 5m equals 30. Divide by 5, you get m equals 6, and that would be your answer. Now one thing I want to make sure you understand is I'm not going to do b now. If you want to do b, you can, but I'm going to skip over it. So you don't have to do that. You only are going to be doing the ones that I ask you to do online here on YouTube. So if I don't mention it or I ask you to do it, you don't have to do it. However, if you want more practice, you're more than welcome to do those problems as well. Let's go on to the got it problem in the middle of page 13. It says solving a multi-step equation, but this is a word problem. So the problem says, Noah and Kate are shopping for new guitar strings in a music store. Noah buys 2 packs of strings. Kate buys 2 packs of strings in a music book. The book costs $16. Their total is $72. How much is 1 pack of strings? Now you could probably figure this out by just doing this without an equation, but we need to realize and understand how am I going to set up an equation here. So let's think about it. How many people do we have? We have 2. So we know Noah's price plus Kate's price is going to be a total of $72. What is it asking you to find? It's asking you to find how much is 1 pack of strings. This is this one key little hint that I want you to take out of word problems. If it ever is a word problem, find out what the problem is asking you to find and let that be x or y or whatever variable that you want to use. So we're going to put x equals cost of a pack of strings. This way I know whenever I talk about a pack of strings, that's going to be represented by X. So let's look at what we have. Noah. Noah buys 2 packs of strings. So Noah is going to be 2X because a pack of strings, a cost of a pack of strings, is X. Kate buys 2 packs of strings and a music book. But we know the price of the music book. What is the price? It's $16. And their total cost is $72. And there's our equation. It's pretty easy. So combine like terms, you get 4x plus 16 equals 72. Subtract 16 on both sides. That gives us 4x equals 56. Divide both sides by 4. So we take 56 divided by 4 and we get 14. But make sure you answer the question. The question asks, what is the cost of a pack of strings? So your answer would be, the cost of a pack of strings is $14. Now I want you to go to the middle of page 14 where it says problem 3, solving an equation using the distributive property. And we're going to do the got it. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do this. So we're going to do A. What is the solution of 18 equals 3 times the difference of 2x and 6? And we have to check our answer. So first thing you have to do is get rid of your parentheses. How are you going to do it? You're going to distribute. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times minus 6 is minus 18. I now am going to do what? Add 18 on both sides. That gives me 36 equals 6x. I then divide both sides by 6 and I get 6 equals x. So let's check our answer. I'm going to take this 6 and plug it back in right here. That's going to give me 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. So parentheses is 6 times 3 equals 18. So it does work. But then B asks a different question. B asks, can you solve the equation in part A by using the division property of equality instead of the distributive property? And explain it. So if you can, pause the video for about 30 seconds to see if you can figure this out. Remember, you want to use the division property of equality first, which states you can divide anything on both sides of an equation as long as it's the same number and your equation is still equal. Here's what you should have come up with. If you take the same equation and you divide it first, this is a shortcut. You don't have to distribute. What's the opposite of times 3? You can divide both sides by 3. And that would give you 6 equals 2x minus 6. You then could add 6 to both sides. 12 equals 2x. Divide by 2. And you're going to get the same answer as x equals 6. Either way is an appropriate answer to do this. So why don't you do, in your book right now, I want you to do number 5 under practice A. And here's the answer. 5A, you should have distributed the 5 first. Combine like terms. Got 6n minus 5 equals 7. And then add 5 to both sides. Divide by 6 and you get 2. Now we are going to do equations that contain fractions. Look at the got it problem on the top of page 15. Problem A. I am going to show you 2 different ways you can do this. So A says 2b divided by 5 plus 3b divided by 4 equals 3. Now you have fractions here, which means you could get a common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite these with a common denominator of 20. 5 times 4 gives me 20. So then I have to multiply the top by 4. That gives me 8b. 4 times 5 gives me 20. So 3b times 5 gives me 15b. And that equals 3. I now add them together. 8b plus 15b, that gives me 23b divided by 20 equals 3. You now can times by 20 and divide by 23, or whenever you have a fraction, you just multiply by the reciprocal. 20 23rds, 20 23rds. These cancel, so all you're left with b equals 3 times 20 is 60. You get 60 23rds. If you can simplify that, you can. This problem cannot be. Now, some of you may say, well, wait a minute, Mr. Humphreys. 60 23rds is an improper fraction. That is okay. It is perfectly okay to have an improper fraction. Or if you wanted to write it as 2 and 14 23rds, that is also acceptable. But I'm going to show you a different way to do this. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. Now remember yesterday what we learned about the multiplication property of equality. You can multiply anything you want to both sides of an equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my fractions. So think about what I want here. I want to multiply by a number that I can divide by 5 and divide by 4. It's basically a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by 20. And watch what happens. 20 divided by 5. Now you can take 20 times 2, which is 40. 40 divided by 5, which is 8. Or I just divide. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 times 2b gives me 8b. Plus 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 3b is 15b. And 3 times 20 is 60. Combine like terms, you get 23b equals 60. I divide both sides by 23. You get b equals 60 23rds, or the same answer is 2 and 14 23rds. No matter what you pick, it's the same thing. So we're going to do b together as well. Once again, if you want, you can actually do this entire problem by finding common denominators. But let's look at this. What number can be divided by 9, 6, and 3? What's your common denominator? It's 18. I'm going to multiply everything by 18. So here we go. 18, 1/9 of 18, all that is 18 divided by 9. You get 2. 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Times the minus m will be minus 6m. And now we solve the equation. How do I move a plus 15 to the other side? I subtract 15, subtract 15. That gives me negative 13 equals negative 6m. I divide by negative 6, I divide by negative 6. That gives me positive 13/6 equals m. Or you could write that as 2 and 1/6. And that's it. Why don't you try 7 on your own? And I'll tell you right now that the answer to number 7 is going to give you 1/5. Now the last thing I want you to look at is page 16. 16, where it says problem 5, under the got it, where it says what is the solution of 0.5x minus 2.325 equals 3.95. All you are doing is the same thing, except you just have decimals. So I just want you to look at that. We're not going to do any of them together. It's the same process. In number and the got it, you're going to add 2.325 to both sides, and then you divide by 0.5. And you don't need to show me that work. You can use a calculator, and that's fine. And that's all I want you to do tonight.